Children naturally think the world has purpose. They believe mountains exist so people can climb them, or that rivers exist to give us water. Religious people use this to argue that children are born with an instinct toward God. But atheists interpret it differently. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. In the previous videos, we explored whether humans are born religious or shaped by culture, through the lens of Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, and modern science. This time, we dive into the bold and thought-provoking atheist perspective. Stay tuned till the end of the video. You'll be surprised at the conclusion this perspective brings. When we ask, are humans born religious, or later on, brainwashed by the society? The atheist answer takes us into a fascinating and sometimes unsettling journey. Atheists do not believe that human beings are born with faith in God built into their souls. Instead, they argue that human beings are born with psychological tendencies, imagination, fear, curiosity, and the need for meaning, which make them highly receptive to religious ideas once society introduces them. In other words, we are not born religious, but we are born ready to be religious, if culture provides the framework. The first and simplest observation atheists make is geography. Richard Dawkins, in The God Delusion, 2006, points out that a child's religion almost always depends on where they are born. A baby born in Saudi Arabia will grow up Muslim, in India, Hindu, in Italy, Catholic, and in Japan, often Shinto, Buddhist, or secular. This fact alone, Dawkins argues, should make us suspicious of the claim that religion is natural or universal. If belief in God were truly inborn, why would it be so radically different from one region to another? Dawkins calls religion a cultural virus, passed from parents to children, just as language is. We inherit not truth, but tradition. But then comes the deeper question. If religion is not inborn, why does it feel so natural to humans? Why has every culture in history created gods, spirits, and rituals? This is where atheist philosophers and scientists bring psychology and evolution into the picture. Daniel Dennett, in Breaking the Spell, Religion as a Natural Phenomenon, 2006, argues that religion survives because it taps into natural features of the human brain. One of these features is what scientists call the hyperactive agency detection device. Imagine an early human at night hearing rustling in the bushes. If it is only the wind, but he assumes it's a predator, he loses nothing. If it is a predator and he ignores it, he could die. Evolution therefore favored people who assumed something is there, even when it wasn't. That survival instinct, always imagining agents behind events, over time made humans see gods in the thunder, spirits in the forest, and ancestors in the shadows. Pascal Boyer explains this in detail in Religion Explained: The Evolutionary Origins of Religious Thought, 2001. He shows that the same mental tools that help us survive also make us prone to religious belief. We remember stories better if they involve agents with special powers. We are quick to imagine invisible beings. We create explanations for events that feel purposeful. Boyer argues that religion is not taught into an empty mind. It is planted into soil that is already fertile with these instincts. Children make this even clearer. Psychologists like Justin Barrett, in his book Born Believers: The Science of Children's Religious Belief, 2012, show that children naturally think the world has purpose. They believe mountains exist so people can climb them, or that rivers exist to give us water. Religious people use this to argue that children are born with an instinct toward God. But atheists interpret it differently. Children are simply intuitive teleologists, meaning they automatically assign purpose to everything. This is not evidence of God, but evidence of how the brain evolved. Carl Sagan, in The Demon-Haunted World, 1995, beautifully described this tendency as our appetite for wonder, a hunger that religion often satisfies with myth, but which science can also satisfy with truth. Another key explanation is fear. Bertrand Russell, in Why I Am Not a Christian, 1927, argued that religion was born out of fear. Fear of death, fear of nature, fear of the unknown. Death in particular is unbearable for many people. Religion softens it with the promise of eternal life, reincarnation, or paradise. But from the atheist point of view, this is wishful thinking. Comforting, yes, but not true. Religion, they argue, is humanity's way of denying the finality of death. Social survival also plays a role. Emil Durkheim, though not an atheist himself, wrote in The Elementary Forms of Religious Life, 1912, that religion is essentially a social creation. Shared rituals and shared gods give people unity and trust. A God who watches everything ensures moral behavior even when no human sees. Dennett in Breaking the Spell agrees with this, but interprets it through an atheist lens. Religion was useful for social cohesion, but usefulness does not equal truth. Everyday examples reveal the cultural nature of religion. Think about Santa Claus. In Western cultures, almost every child believes in Santa with complete conviction. Why? Because parents, schools, movies, and traditions reinforce it. Eventually, children grow up and realize Santa is not real. Atheists argue that religion functions the same way. It is reinforced so strongly that many never stop believing, even as adults. The difference is not in the mechanism, but in how long society lets the illusion continue. Another example is geography itself. A Muslim in Lahore believes Islam is the only truth. A Hindu in Delhi feels the same about Hinduism. A Christian in Rome about Christianity. And a Buddhist in Kyoto about Buddhism. If all of these people are utterly convinced of their own truth, but believe in different gods, then conviction itself cannot be proof. It only shows that belief depends on culture. And then there are secular societies like Sweden, Denmark, and Japan, where whole generations grow up with little or no religion at all. Yet they live moral, happy, and meaningful lives. This shows that morality and purpose are not dependent on religion. They are human qualities. This is why atheists directly challenge the Islamic idea of fitra, or the Christian idea of a God-shaped whole. Atheists say what appears to be an inborn instinct for God is in fact the brain's natural imagination combined with cultural conditioning. If fitra were real, all humans would naturally gravitate to the same God. Instead, history is filled with thousands of gods and religions, each convincing to its followers, each claiming to be the ultimate truth. The diversity itself, atheists argue, is the evidence that religion is cultural. The atheist conclusion is unsettling, but it is consistent. Humans are not born religious. We are born curious, imaginative, fearful, and social. Religion grows from those natural traits, fertilized by culture, fear, and tradition. What feels like a divine instinct is, in their view, the byproduct of human psychology and evolution. As Dawkins puts it in The God Delusion, we are all atheists about most of the gods that humanity has ever believed in. Some of us just go one god further. And the suspenseful question that lingers is this: if religion is not natural but cultural, then what happens when cultures stop teaching it? In countries where children are raised without religious instruction, do they still find gods on their own? or does belief quietly fade away? The atheist answer is striking. In places where religion is no longer passed down, it withers. This suggests that religion is not an eternal truth written into the human heart, but a tradition carried only as long as culture chooses to carry it. In this end, I'll simply say that humans have a deep and universal drive to seek meaning, purpose, and connection beyond the material world. Some traditions, like Islam, describe this as fitra, an inborn inclination toward the divine. Christianity and Hinduism also recognize an innate spiritual yearning, whether toward God, Krishna, or Rama. Science shows our minds are naturally curious, imaginative, and sensitive to fear, making us receptive to religious ideas. Atheists argue that culture, upbringing, and geography largely shape belief. Across all perspectives, one pattern stands out. Humans everywhere display a persistent search for morality, purpose, and transcendence. Share your thoughts and join the conversation in the comments below to find whether we were born religiously or brainwashed later on.